Welcome to 10-5, the official podcast of the OPP Association. My name is Scott Mills. I'm one of the co-hosts.
And I'm Emily Brown, and we are the Strategic Communications Coordinators for the OPP Association, and your host for the 10-5 podcast, the official podcast of the OPP Association. So some background for our new listeners. The OPPA is the sole bargaining agent for the close to 10,000 members of the Ontario Provincial Police in Canada. Our members are our focus and our strength, and we aim to provide important information to our members and the public about matters that affect policing in the province of Ontario.
And today we welcome no stranger to the 10-5 podcast. Dilnaz Garda is back with us on the podcast to talk about the upcoming Ontario Police Suicide Memorial that is taking place on Sunday, June 23rd, 2024 in Toronto. So welcome, Dilnaz.
Thank you for having me on the podcast. It's so good to be back again, and you guys are always so good to be on the blue and giving us a voice, so thank you.
Welcome. We're looking forward to learning more about your work and the first Ontario Police Suicide Memorial. So for starters, can you give us some background about yourself and our listeners, that may have missed podcasts in the past, about who you are and how you came to be talking to us today?
Yes, thank you. So my brother was a Toronto police officer, and very early on in his career, he was involved in a fatal shooting with a few other subject officers. Unfortunately, he never saw his 30th birthday as he died by suicide at the age of 29 after years of battling with mental health issues and trauma because of the line of duty. And so it was in that journey, in that interim, that I learned a lot of lessons. That one, I was not alone, that there were many police families struggling. And so Canada Beyond the Blue was certainly born on the back of a suicide, truly. And its main mission is to help the helpers and strengthen police families by giving them tools, resources, supports that they need to be the front line to the front line. When we empower them with symptoms, with supports, the officer and civilian member come home and their truest self is at home. So when you allow the family members or empower them with that kind of knowledge, the damage doesn't just happen alone for the member, it happens with the family. And so, it's no surprise now, because I think it's so well talked about, that policing comes not just with a physical risk, but a mental health risk. And we need to ensure that we bring that front and center. And so Beyond the Blue is run by family, for family. It's volunteer run. We're a registered charity. And what fuels us is a vested interest. So we're incredibly proud of being the national voice of police families. And that's a little bit of the background.
Well, thanks, Dilnaz. You're so well spoken. You're just professional, and you never give up. And kudos to you, because this is so needed. And I know it's not just you out there. So thank you to each and every person who is doing their part to help Canada Beyond the Blue with their vision and their mission to honor police members who have died because of the line of duty, and to prevent those deaths moving forward. And something that I get asked a lot about, Dilnaz, and I want to ask you about it, is you spoke earlier of because of the line of duty. And it's kind of like a term now. But sometimes it's quite misunderstood, as you and I both know. And I was wondering if you could maybe explain to us what because of the line of duty means.
Absolutely. I think awareness and sharing and talking is going to be so important in getting support and moving these pieces forward. So anytime I can clarify, I'm so happy to do that. So, because of the line of duty has been coined by Canada Beyond the Blue, and it's become rhetoric, police rhetoric now, and a common term used, and I'm really proud of that. it's allowed our police community to define the on-the-job trauma and toll that happens to a police member. And so it is because of the line, because of their job, because of their service to the community, because of the trauma that they see, there is an impact. There is a toll on their health. And there, like I said, we need to start acknowledging that certain professions have a risk component. And part of that is acknowledging that policing has a twofold. One, it's a clear physical risk. Every day you go out, there's a physical risk. There's also a mental health risk, right? Like if you go to a call and there's a physical risk, there's also going to be a mental reaction to that, a psychological reaction. And how can we separate those two? So it is because of the line of duty that if we don't get our members help, if we aren't proactive, if we don't champion mental health initiatives within the workplace, if we don't create a safe environment, they will die because of the line of duty. And have I helped clarify that, or?
I think so.
Yes, very
Okay.
much so. I can tell you, as a relative newcomer still, Scott can attest to this. I got caught up on that because I didn't recognize. So that's a really articulate, well put explanation for it.
Thank you. And, it's part of the journey, though, has been to ensure that we honor both types of death. And we have to do it. I'm committed to that we dignify the death separately so that, for example, if a death happens in line of duty, the first thing we do is, we look at labor laws, we look at policies. Could we have prevented this? Do we need to change a practice to prevent an officer from dying in the line of duty? And I think the same thing needs to happen when we see the numbers of suicides that are happening. Is there a policy, a practice, a strategy that we need to employ to ensure their mental health safety as well? And, it just allows us that equal footing within line of duty deaths and allowing the family the dignity of their death because of the way they served.
We're going to switch gears a little bit here. I understand there's a memorial event coming soon. So what can attendees expect at the memorial on June 23rd in Toronto?
A whole lot of crying. How about that? Well, it's inaugural. It's historical. You will be part of history. You will be at the very first of its kind. And I think that's pretty special. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. It has been a very long journey to realize this. So it's Sunday, June 23rd, and it will be at Queen's Park Crescent. And so if you know the OPMF circle, it will be the wreath laying ceremony will happen in that same park, just on like the opposite green area. And there has been an overwhelming support from every stakeholder that this is long overdue. And we have already about 200 people who have RSVP'd for RSVP for seats. And this goes from, like I said, police members, family members, government, associations, service leaders. So that has been, that is going to be just phenomenal, and the families deserve this. The police members who have lost someone that they know to suicide deserve this. We have 11 services who have lost members, and we just keep getting more members out of the woodwork, identifying someone that has been lost to suicide. Please wear, your formal number ones with medals. And just show your support through attendance. I think that is the most powerful thing that you can do if you want change, if you want to show that this matters, is show up. Show up and attend and show, the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up and attend and show the support that you need. Show up the people who make decisions that this is the right decision moving forward.
So is there like a march that's going to happen with it too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So something that we've decided to do is to congregate on the south lawn of the Queen's Park Legislative Assembly, which is kind of literally directly across the street from where this is. And we're actually, there's no formality to the march. What I would love to see, and the ceremonial unit will kind of guide you through this, is we'd love to see members shoulder to shoulder, regardless of their service. And just so that we're intertwined, we're connected. And we're going to have a silent march that just walks over and then surrounds the family that are already seated. And then I've chosen someone to break the silence, so a symbolic breaking of the silence as we move on into the ceremony. And I think that this is a really meaningful way to honor, to some extent, police kind of formality and procedure with mustering and whatnot, but to create a very unique feel. Superintendent Tyrone Hilton actually was the person who's been actually so passionate in the involvement in the operational committee and suggested this and said, don't feel like you have to follow everything to a T. Make this your own. And so that really allowed for the doors of creativity to open, but also this is what Beyond the Blue is in true fashion, that we're going to make every event meaningful and unique. And so that's our take on what the march is going to look like.
That's really interesting. Getting shivers up my spine when you're describing that. This might sound like a stupid question, but I know police officers, they're always concerned about security. Is it like got a similar security setup to the Ontario Police Memorial, with all the officers there, number one dress uniform and stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. That has been graciously taken care of from TPS and their division in charge of that. I've been really blessed with the steering committee that is. I can delegate for the first time and things get done. And so thankfully, it's quite advantageous that, I've got the TPS family who are just such great supporters. So that is something that is being taken care of from them.
That's awesome. Well, you got Superintendent Tyrone Hilton on your side, and nobody knows security and operational plans better than
that's it.
Than Tyrone. So I'm just so happy you're going to pull this off, because this has been so long coming. You had something kind of going, and then it got stopped by COVID, and it's just endless obstacles out there, it seems. So it's going to be a meaningful day, and hats off to you and everybody involved with organizing this. And with that, Dilnaz, I was wondering if you could go into some detail about the impact on families and the importance of honoring their loved ones for us.
Yes, I'd love to. It has been every time I get really tired, really exhausted, when there are barriers in the way and I want to give up, it is the emails from families or the sentiments from families that gives me purpose, passion, and my caffeine dose to charge ahead. We feel so isolated, so alone, and bringing family together like this so that they can stand tall. That's been a quote from one of our family members, that we can finally get the ceremony that their loved ones have deserved. Another quote. We can't even get people together for a family wedding, but they all decided to show up for this, is another quote. It goes to show how deep the pain can be, but also how deep the healing can be. And the impact on family is one I cannot articulate. It is one that I encourage everyone to come out and experience. We had a luncheon, actually, of some of the family survivors, and it was a balance of crying and celebration. And it sounds so, dichotomous, but it really is that, because we finally celebrate that we are out of the darkness, that we are together, that we have a support in each other and a network. And we have since brought about Solace, which is the name of our network, and it's the BTB, the next chapter for police families. And so I'm so proud of that next formal step as well, that we have a network named Solace, and we can put things in place for, unfortunately, other families who might be feeling alone and isolated. And we are going to bring them out of the darkness and give them the healing, the next steps, the light, and the dignity that they so deserve.
Thanks for sharing all that with us, Dilnaz. Dilnaz, can you explain the creation of Solace? And is that an acronym, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually an acronym, and it's Support, Outreach, Love, Assistance, Connection, and Empowerment. And it was actually very, very much discussed amongst some of our bereaved. They didn't want the word survivor. And I thought that was interesting. They loved the word empowerment. So it was really very thought out about the importance of each word and what it would mean to them and what they needed on their journey that they didn't receive but would love to see moving forward. So really happy to have Solace as the next chapter of support for police families.
One word that came up when you and I were kind of texting back and forth trying to get this going here today for the recording, you said the word shame. I think you're doing a really good job at trying to get rid of this feeling of shame. Okay. Do you have any comments on that?
I say that, I did not feel any shame when my brother was a police officer. We were so proud. My God, we were so proud. I think most police families are very proud. Why then am I feeling shame in their death? Mm-hmm. And that really, and this is what I think the power of what we're doing is we've, think about when you would hear the word suicide, you think coward, easy, quitter, right? And Pete was actually saying that to me today, and we've come such a long way. Mm-hmm. And so, if I don't feel shame that he was a police officer, why do I feel shame that he died doing the job he loved, died because of the job he loved? We never, it's funny, I don't think we do that with soldiers. We don't go, oh, wow, what a coward. We go, holy Jesus, like, what did he endure? Like, it's almost like, yeah, that tracks. Of course they died by suicide. Mm-hmm. So why is there that difference? And I'm Beyond the Blue is just really trying to bring about that awareness, change that narrative, educate people, and rid the shame, not just from the families, but from police members who want to seek help, from officers and civilian members who something's wrong now because of something they've seen. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Like if you're running and you jump over a fence and you trip and fall and your knee hurts, no one's going to be like, well, you should feel shame. Why didn't you jump that? Why didn't you clear that 10-foot fence? Like, no one does that with the physical aspect of things. Mm-hmm. And we need to stop doing that with the mental health aspect of things.
Now, as I'm sure you can attest, Dilnaz, with anything great, there comes a lot of challenges along the way. And I'm guessing you've had your fair share. So do you have any that you could share with us and how you've overcome them?
No, I can't, because you don't have 5 hours.
I love that answer, Dilnaz.
No, I can't answer that question. Listen, I think, how could there not be challenges, right? I mean, look at what we're doing. We're doing something so historic, and there are always going to be challenges. There's always going to be barriers. And I'll tell you, you just look for the allies, because they're out there. And Scott Mills holds, I have special spots in my heart, but it's limited. And Scott, a very special place from the start. There have been people who have been by my side when it was not sexy to do so, when you could have risked your job. And Scott's a pioneer that way, because he did not care. He knew what was right, what was hurting people, and he put himself out there knowing the consequences. And there were some serious consequences. Now that's a hero. And, so when you say challenges, yes, but I've got allies that inspire me every day to just go, yeah, I'm not giving up, and I'm now just going to, pivot right, or, go this way or go that way, but it's going to happen. And I think people have just resolved themselves that when I put my mind to something, it's going to happen. So you decide how much of a fight you want to put up, or just, but there are absolute barriers. And, I think the biggest one was definitely honoring the two types of deaths in their own ways, to ensure that they do get the special recognition that they deserve, because they are two different types of deaths. I believe that once I was able to make that a moot point by defining, because of the line, asking for a separate memorial, the path forward was less resistant. And so, yeah, there are always challenges. And I honestly, right now, the biggest ones that we need as an organization is twofold: volunteers and a revenue stream. That will always be our challenge, is going to be those two pieces. So, my goodness, feel free to throw money at me, or people power.
Well, you got people power from this guy. And thanks for your kind words there, Dilnaz. I'm still kind of tipping the apple cart there and losing sleep over this issue. So, so many friends that are gone, and they've died by suicide. So, hats off to you once again. I got a question about: is this going to be an annual event? Like, how's this going to look like?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry, it's going to be an annual event, and in hopes of getting to a point where there is a physical structure or monument that we can pay our condolences to, and the people of Ontario can pay their condolences.
That's very honorable. Is there a timeline for the construction of that, or how's that going to work?
Have you ever met a construction timeline that's met its timeline?
No.
No.
I did get a plumber to show up on time today, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There is no timeline. It truly is just keeping the momentum going. And, I thought if I ever waited for that, it might take a longer time. You know how things work in the system. But I thought we need to build it, and it will come. And the wreath-laying ceremony is definitely that right start.
And I guess you're taking a list of names. How does that work moving forward? Like, do they?
Yeah. So at this point, just for the logistics of the program going out, we've kind of closed off the names that can be submitted. But this is an awareness piece. As people have started to realize, we've gotten more submissions coming in, and this really just comes from letting the family know. Bringing about that awareness, and it is absolutely shocking. On one Facebook thread, when we had posted a name about a member, I actually had two other police members say, "Oh, but this one died on the same team, and so did this one." And we were like, oh my goodness. So we are prepared for a lot more names that have never been recorded, right? Think about the shame. Think about the stigma. It's never even been recorded. Mm-hmm. To come out of the woodwork and start to, and this is in the this is in our immediate present. Can you imagine the historical names that are going to come out of the woodwork? And I'll tell you, one of the most historical have been Chief John Chisholm. He was the first chief of police for Toronto when Toronto became amalgamated. And in his note, where he died by suicide, he talked about the stress of being a chief. And he died because of the line of duty. So, the names will come. Please go to our website for the submission of names. If you are having difficulty with filling them out, please reach out to us and we will find someone on your behalf to fill that out. We certainly don't want to re-traumatize you, and we want to use a trauma-informed approach to this. And if you would like to RSVP to come to the memorial, certainly we just want you to show up. But it always helps us to have a good understanding of numbers and plan accordingly. Please go to our website. All that information is there.
For those listening, we'll have all the information and the links you need in the show notes.
Dilnaz, we're shifting gears here a little bit again, but we often have spirited debates about communications around suicide deaths. In fact, we had one this week. And so many people do so much good work out there, and it's not talked about. And I find in the age of social media, there are many posts, and when an officer dies by suicide or one of our police family members die, a civilian, it could be anybody, retiree. The posts are often vague. Nobody knows who anybody's talking about. They don't know the circumstances around the death. There's just way more questions than answers. There's rumors, innuendo. And do you have any advice from your own lived experience and kind of through your Beyond the Blue work on how to best do communications surrounding suicides?
Call it what it is. You're only adding to the stigma and the shame when you don't. Call it what it is. It's a suicide. Go to the family, thank them for their service, thank them for their sacrifice, word it in that way with them that he died because of the line of duty, and we need to honor this police member, your loved one who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I had a spirited debate with Chief Saunders around this. I was so mad. We'd done so much work, and we had a suicide, and it was natural. It was what did they call it? A sudden death. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. This was a suicide. Name it. Mm-hmm. Start holding leaders accountable. They hide behind, the family doesn't want it. Well, you know why the family doesn't want it? Is because we've made it that way. But imagine if we did the same process of funeral, of dignity, of rolling out the red carpet for these families the way we do in line of duty deaths. Mm-hmm. You got to call it a suicide. You cannot hide behind this. The numbers of suicide deaths are disproportionate to those who are dying in line of duty. We are in a crisis, and we have been in a crisis for some time. And we need to start being transparent about it. I understand the other side to it, liability, right? No chief, no command team, no association wants to say, oh my God, these are our numbers. But you've got to. And calling it a suicide is the first step. And listen, they now have the eloquent gift of because of the line. This police member died because of the line of duty. You don't even, truthfully, I hate the word. I hate suicide. I don't know why. It's the way it rolls off my tongue. I hate it. I hate everything about that word. Or maybe I've come to hate it because of what it represents to others in society. And I would just say this person, this police member, we lost a member because of the line of duty.
Well, thank you for sharing your insight on that. I understand you will be hosting the Canada Beyond the Blue Champions of Change Awards Gala on the 5th of September at the Palais Royal in Toronto. So can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the nominations?
Yeah, so we've got 5 categories where you can nominate a leader, an association leader, and police members who are being proactive and doing some great work in the space of mental health and mental health initiatives within the workplace. This is, the cliche is just an honor to be nominated. I'll tell you, it truly is. People in that room are overjoyed just to be recognized, because a lot of the time that work goes unnoticed. And they really are unsung heroes. And the best thing you can do for anyone is to recognize them, even through a nomination. The great thing about this gala is it's not just police members. We want your family there, because chances are they have supported you on your journey as a police member. So this is great, because usually they bring their loved one, whoever that is, a friend, a partner, a child. It's wonderful. The evening's wonderful. And it's a celebration. It's a celebration of champions who are creating change within the workforce. And that's that healthy, proactive approach that Beyond the Blue has, in terms of, okay, so we've got a problem. Let's figure out a way to fix it. And the idea is, when you recognize something, you hope that it creates more of that momentum where people want to now start being change makers in the workforce. It's a lovely night of Ontario Police Services Associations gathered together with the same common goal, to celebrate champions of change in the workforce.
I think it's a great event. Absolutely phenomenal. Palais Royale is a beautiful spot if you haven't been there. And all the volunteers that are involved in making this event happen, it's definitely a night to remember. Could you put out the website there, like where you go to nominate one of these champions of change, get all the criteria, and where you can either become a sponsor for that event or get tickets for it?
Yeah, please, because I'd love to get this out there. CanadaBeyondTheBlue.com is our website. You'll see Memorial and Gala. That tab allows you to nominate someone who's deserving of recognition. And if you would like to sponsor a table, please email us at gala@CanadaBeyondTheBlue.com. And we can certainly set up customized sponsorship. You can purchase a table. And the same thing with the Memorial tab. It's on there as well. So please visit our website to just also be more informed about these events and initiatives that are happening.
Let's keep up the good work, Dilnaz. Is there a drop-dead date for getting those nominations in that we may... you have to get this podcast out sooner than later. What's that date?
Well, June 3rd is the deadline, but I think that in true teacher fashion, I might give some extensions. So I mean, we'd love them in, as soon as possible, but, certainly, I think the first week of June is going to be, our cutoff date there.
All right. Well, we're going to have to get this podcast out probably this coming Friday. So if anybody gets nominated within a reasonable amount of time, you'll honor that?
I will honor that.
Okay. That's great. Any last words, Dilnaz?
Just thanks. Just gratitude to you and Emily for providing us an opportunity to share. Thank you to the OPPA for being so supportive. And just gratitude to the police members out there who are serving our communities, and to our families who are being their support system.
You have been listening to the president of Canada Beyond the Blue, Dilnaz Garda. We thank you so much for taking the time to have this important conversation with us today.
Thank you so much.
A new episode of the 10-5 podcast drops every other Friday on all major podcasting platforms. Please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay safe.